Go for it.
All right. So welcome, everyone. Thanks for being on the call tonight. I hope everyone has had the chance to listen to the other posts and videos and stuff that I've done so far. Like I said this morning, everything kind of builds off of each other. So it's super important that you have done the previous assignments or activities to make sure that you're staying on top of it, and as all this stuff builds on each other, then you'll be able to really gain everything that you want to out of this group. And let's see, let me pull up my notes over here. So hold on. Okay. So like I talked about earlier in the week, this group, it's not really, a step-by-step how to, specifics of social media or network marketing specific, but it's more about understanding and getting clarity for yourself as a leader, and understanding how you can really find your purpose, and being very clear with that yourself. Because the more clear that you are personally with your purpose, the direction you're heading, your goals, the more easy it is for people to follow you. If you're kind of spread out and all over the place and aren't quite sure, it's going to be super hard for people to really, follow that and want to be a part of that if they're not quite sure the direction you're going. And so that's a big part of what we hope to accomplish with this group. One of the things that we talked about yesterday was the why. And I think that is critical and kind of at the basis of this whole group, is understanding your why and what it is that really drives you. The more clear that you can be with that, the better off you're going to be. Because we've said this many times before, but people don't necessarily buy the what you're selling, they buy the why. So you can post all day about, these wonderful products that you have, but if you're not sharing the why behind it, and, what it has changed inside of you and why you do what you do, then you're not going to really gain any sort of following. You're not going to have anything behind you unless you are very clear about the why and your purpose behind it. So what I wanted to start off with today, and I want to make sure that this call is interactive, so I want you guys to participate. We do have you muted because it's hard when there's a lot of noise going on. But so I'm going to ask you a couple questions, and if you have something, they can unmute themselves, right? Or do we need to? Yeah. So just unmute yourself and participate. But so the first thing that I want you to do is I want everyone to close your eyes, and I can see you, so if you're not closing your eyes.
He's going to call you out.
Yes. Okay, so close your eyes, and I want you to imagine that you're driving on a mountain road. Okay, so it's a windy mountain road. Let's see. So Katrina, you just joined us. So everyone has their eyes closed. Okay, so I want you to close your eyes. So you're driving on a mountain road. It's kind of a windy road. And it's kind of foggy, it's getting dark outside, and you can't see very well. So who can tell me what types of feelings come up thinking about that?
Can we open our eyes now?
You can open your eyes.
Fear for me.
Fear?
Yeah.
Okay, what else?
Anxiety.
Okay, anxiety. What else?
Confusion.
Okay, confusion, and then somebody said something else.
Stress.
Stress, right. Okay. Right. So if you're in that situation, it's confusing, it's hard, it's stressful, it's scary, right? That's not a good feeling. So now I want everyone to close your eyes again. Okay, and this time you're in your car again, and you're driving on a straight road. It's blue skies outside, you're on a highway, You're driving straight forward. There's no clouds in the sky. It's nice and sunny. Okay. Now you can open your eyes. What feelings came up with that one?
Pleasant.
Freedom.
Freedom. Okay. Freedom and then some comfort.
Clarity.
Clarity. Yeah. Okay. Anything else?
Just happy.
Happy.
That's what I was thinking.
Right.
Just like imagining being happy and like joyful.
Right. So what kind of difference? That's a huge difference, right? If you have that clarity inside your mind that makes you happy, that's a good positive feeling. And it's the same experience inside your minds as you are clear and you're headed in a straight direction. There's no obstacles in your way. You know, you're very you know, everything is clear inside your mind and around you. That's a positive, peaceful, good feeling, right? Versus being cloudy and you know, foggy inside of your mind. It's the same experience. It's not comfortable. It's scary. It can be confusing, right? And so that's what we hope to get out of the call tonight, is to give you that bit of clarity so that you can really pinpoint where it is that you want to be.
What are you laughing at?
Jessie just popped on with the towel in her head. Okay. So the more clear you are, the easier your life is going to be, the more positive it's going to be, the more easy it is for you to accomplish your goals. Okay. So that's what we hope to accomplish with tonight's call. As humans, you know, we talked about at the start of this group was that we're going to kind of dive in and try to figure out how it is that humans act. What's that innate drive inside of us? You know, what is it about humans? And one of the things is that humans are meaning-seeking mammals. That's what sets us apart from, you know, monkeys and apes and, you know, all those different animals out there. Well, we might have a lot of the same instinct. What sets us apart is that we are meaning-seeking. So we have that ability inside of our minds that we have to have some sort of meaning behind us. If we don't have a meaning or a purpose behind what we're doing, then we'll just kind of fade off into the sunset and we don't really go after that thing. But if we actually have that meaning behind us, then that's when we really engage. And the tracks that we leave are left to serve the people that come after us. Okay. And when I talk about tracks, this is one thing that we're going to explore tonight. Is we're going to talk about the tracks that you want to leave. And what tracks are, imagine that you're walking through the woods and you get lost. Well, how do the people find you that are coming after you? They follow your tracks, right? So the tracks are the things that you leave behind you. And those tracks don't serve any purpose for you, but they serve the people that come behind you. So if you think about, you know, family, friends, teammates, coworkers, whoever it is, the people that are coming behind you, those are the ones that are influenced by your tracks. And so, you know, we're gonna look at that as what kind of tracks you want to leave. But I wanted to just read this part of the handbook that I got from the training. But what he talks about is what exactly are tracks? What does that mean to leave tracks? And he talks about exactly what I just said, where it's serving the people that come behind you, not necessarily yourself. Leaving tracks means that you're finding your true north, okay, your inner compass that's guiding you. It says it's the wellspring of everything else. Isn't that kind of great? That's kind of cool to think about. Your tracks are the wellspring. It means it's giving off everything else that you do comes from these tracks that you're leaving. So that's pretty crazy. That's pretty important to understand what tracks you want to leave, right? Great leadership flows from those who are clear on the tracks they intend to leave. And if you think about the people that you are influenced by. You know, maybe you look at some top coaches in an organization. Maybe you're led by people in your community, your church, your groups that you're a part of, public speakers. Think about those people that you personally are influenced by and you want to follow. And I guarantee you those people are going to be very clear about the tracks that they are leaving. Okay. Let's see. When things get murky in your life, come back to this truth, right? So if things ever get confusing, you feel like you've kind of lost your way as a coach, you feel like, you're kind of wading through mud. If you come back to these tracks, it's going to set you straight on the direction that you need to go. And then the last thing is learning to tell the story of your tracks you are leaving. And people will follow you and they will help you to take on bigger obstacles and take on things bigger than yourself if you learn how to tell a story based off of those tracks. Okay, so I wanted to share really quick some of the tracks that I had written down when I did this exercise, and then I'm going to have you guys write down some of the tracks that you feel like are important to you. So what I had was that the tracks that I wanted to leave was one of love and of service-based leadership, so that people would look at me as somebody who didn't care as much about themselves as myself, but more concerned about serving other people. One of the things I wrote down was that I helped Tiffany feel that she was meaningful and she had a purpose. That I was encouraging to my kids, and that I was patient and allowed them to choose that it was okay to make mistakes and to learn and to help them to be better than I ever was. To leave a financial legacy for my kids, to have that safety net. And that one of the big things that really hit home for me, and that I really felt when I talked about this at the Scott Mann event, was restoring leadership. And I don't care to get into politics, but across the board, across the country, there's a huge deficit in leadership. A man's place has been very denigrated, and you look at media and everything where men are kind of looked at these goofy ones that cause all the problems and aren't really good for anything. That's kind of the perception that men have, and that's something that I really wanted to work on. And the tracks that I wanted to leave was making sure that I'm setting straight, and setting a good example for men of leadership, of respect and love for their spouses and children, and that set a good example. So that was the tracks that I left, and I'm not saying any of that has to be yours or should be yours or whatever, but so what I wanted to do is I'm going to give you guys 5 minutes, and we're going to be quiet for 5 minutes. And so I want you to take your workbook that you've got there, and I want you to write down the tracks that you want to leave. And the way I want you to think about it is I want to have you think of one person. So if that's, a spouse, a loved one, children, whatever it is, I want you to think of one person that's going to be left behind after you're gone. And that person, they're sitting down with somebody that has never met you before. And I want you to write down that experience of what it is that your loved one is sharing with that person that's never met you before. Okay? So remember, this isn't anything that's going to serve you, right? It's not, your tracks are not meant to benefit you. It's only to help to lift and to serve those people that follow you. Okay? So we'll start the timer. Okay? You've got 5 minutes. And when the 5 minutes is up, I'll come back on. Okay, go.
Do you have a timer?
Yeah. All right. So that's 5 minutes right there. If you want some more time, then take some more after the call, and you can finish up that list. But so hopefully that was a good experience. Everyone got a lot of good stuff written down. Is there anybody that wants to share and be brave and to kind of share some of the tracks that you feel like you want to leave?
I will.
Okay.
Okay, so I, talking in third person, Christy, was the kindest person you'll ever meet. She was a problem solver and helped people. She talked to and treated everyone like they were her best friend. You just always felt good about being around her, like she had all day to be with you. She was the best mom and a fiercely loyal wife, constantly served her family and others around her. Her kids revered her. Her team loved her.
Okay.
That's what I have so far.
Okay, good. Anybody else?
I will.
Okay.
An encourager and a lover, a faithful disciple and devoted, a good example, a go-getter, selfless and honest, a helper, a loyal wife and friend.
Okay, awesome. Very good. Okay, anybody else?
I can.
Yeah.
So I wrote down already like half a page, but I won't read it all word for word. But mainly my tracks is I want my family, my friends, strangers to look at me to know that living with mental illness is not a negative trait or condition or whatever people want to call it nowadays, is something that's not talked about, and it's a huge stigma. So I want people to know that you, especially bipolar disorder, no one talks about it, and you can lead a normal life with bipolar disorder, and it's not that crazy person that you see in the media, that it's like, a psychopath killer, like completely crazy, to Mary Poppins down the road. So I just want people to know that I'm that one here that advocates that it's a normal way of life for a lot of people that no one talks about.
Yeah, good. Very good.
I'll share mine. I said someone who never gave up, a fighter, someone who is always trying and striving to improve, someone who fought for what they wanted and fought tirelessly, someone who loved fiercely but had boundaries, didn't put up with BS, but also kind-hearted, understanding, and empathetic toward others, a partner, a mother, someone who allowed their kids to be themselves, open and honest about life struggles and reality, straightforward but soft. I'm still working on the soft part.
Right. Okay. Anybody else want to share?
I'll share. I've tried to share like 4 times, but everybody keeps like, I will. It's funny too, because I made this list and I made it at Summit too, and I went back and it's different.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of the same, but different words. Okay. Patient mother, determined, showed love always to others, a giver, compassionate, great cook, fighter, caring, trustworthy, a loyal wife, believed in herself, built a strong business, helped people overcome depression, strong Christian, and someone who never complained.
Mm-hmm.
I got to work on that last one. I put a star by it.
Right. So these aren't necessarily traits that you have right now. It's, what is it that you want to leave behind to the people that go after you, right? Okay. Anybody else? Okay. So what the cool thing about this activity is, like Jesse said, these will change. And so, you can go over this list every, couple months, and you can add to it, you can change it, you can change the perspective. You looked at this, at these tracks tonight based off of the perspective of one person, right? Of, if whoever that was, whether that was your spouse or whoever, you looked at it there, you can change that person that's, having that conversation and look at it from a different perspective. So, take this list, keep it handy, keep it visible, and add to it as you feel the need to, but come back to it every couple months and see how that changes. But the more clear you are with this, the better you're going to be. Okay. Let's see. What was Christy saying? Someone who never complained.
No.
Oh. Okay. Let's see. One of the things that I want to talk about was the goals that you have for your business. When your goals for your business fall in line with the tracks that you want to leave, then you will have an incredible sense of clarity. And when you're clear on that direction, people are going to fall in line to follow you and want to join you and to help you to accomplish those goals that you set forth. Let's see. Yeah. And this is true not just in business, but also if you have kids, with a spouse, friends, whoever, it's the same thing, same idea. The more clear you are with the tracks that you want to leave, the direction that you're heading, the easier and more clear you are going to be, the more clear your head's going to be, and the more easy it is for people that follow you to come behind you and to help you to accomplish those goals. And you got to be careful not to get lost in the weeds of the day-to-day minutia and the things that you get caught up doing, the day-to-day tasks that you have, problems that come up, this coach isn't doing this challenger's not doing this, whatever. If you have that clarity, know what your tracks are, know what your goals are, then all that stuff can just kind of be set aside, and you'll stay true to the direction that you're heading. If any of you have read or heard of the book War of Art, it's an incredible book. I haven't finished it, but it's so good because he talks about resistance in that book. And resistance is the thing that stands between you and your higher cause. So resistance is what stands between you and leaving these tracks that you've just written down. So the more you're able to identify what that resistance is, Christy, yes, War of Art. Okay. Yeah. Anyways, I was going to say something. It's a play on The Art of War, which is a different book, but War of Art. Okay. So the more you're able to figure out what that resistance is inside of you, what's keeping you from obtaining that higher cause, the more you can name it, to point it out, to speak it, and to really put it out in the open when it appears in your life, the more you're going to be able to get rid of that resistance and clear up that path for you to accomplish your tracks. Okay, so that's the next activity here. The last activity that I'm going to have you do for this call is we're going to take another 5 minutes. You're going to talk about that resistance. Okay, and I want you for the next 5 minutes, I want your pen on your paper, and I want it to keep moving for the next 5 minutes. Okay, you're going to talk about those demons, that resistance, whatever it is that's standing in between you and the tracks that you have just written down. What's holding you back from the leadership in your life, in your business, your family? What's holding you back from those goals and from where you want to be, in your business? Okay, so I'm going to set my timer again. Like I said, 5 minutes. Pen on your paper and keep it moving the whole 5 minutes, and just let it come out. Okay, on your mark. Get set, go.
People keep stealing all my stuff. Time's up.
All right. Okay, so there's your 5 minutes. Okay, so I just wanted to share some of the ones that I have written down, and then have you guys give you guys a chance to share some of yours as well. But so one of the enemies that I wrote down was comfort. You know, our life is pretty comfortable, you know, and apathy was another one, which kind of falls in line with that same kind of category. Like, you know, there's not really, you know, a need to kind of push. Distractions is a huge one for me. You know, for me at night, you know, when we get the kids put down to bed, turning on the TV and, you know, watching sports or the news or something like that is just a distraction, and it's keeping me from reaching my goals. Feelings of inadequacy, fears, trap of perfection. So feeling like I have to be perfect at something is kind of a barrier. So if I'm not going to be, you know, really good at it or perfect, it's holding me back. So yeah, that's some of the ones I had written down. Does anybody want to share any of theirs?
I'll share mine real quick. I had one main word that popped out. It's at the very bottom. Can you guys see it? Fear. And then I have a whole list of fears that I have. Fear of failing, fear of not knowing the outcome, fear of looking foolish, fear of looking stupid, naive, like an idiot, fear of not being balanced, fear of losing my kids, my husband, because my business comes first. You can tell that's a pattern I've been in the past. Fear of missing out what my kids will think of me. I think because I'm a mom, I struggle like working and not being involved with my kids all the time. I have some guilt about that. Fear of not being recognized because I won't go back to where I was. Fear of what others will think. Fear of losing my true north or getting caught up in. She's our most difficult child, if you can't tell. Well, I take that back. The second most difficult. Fear of losing my true north or getting caught up in numbers and stressing about numbers instead of worrying about people. This is all coming from me coming back into the business after having to take a hiatus.
Okay,
that's mine.
Good. All right. Does anybody else want to share their resistance? This one's not as fun. It's a little bit harder, right? But like I said, the more you share, the more that you get that out in the open and speak it, the less power it has over you.
I can share some. A lot of, I think my biggest one is me and my own excuses. As I was writing this, I actually wrote that because I'm writing everything down and I just think, well, like it's more of an excuse as opposed to like a fear or something for a lot of them. Like my working time management, right? Like I have my set schedule for work, but I don't manage that time properly, and that's my own excuse. My home situation, my husband works out of town, which is recent. He's gone all the time, and even when he's home, he's never here, so I use that as an excuse. Because we farm, so our economy is shit, the weather is shit, we got snow on our crops, which destroys everything, so that's an excuse. Procrastination, personal doubt, my past tribulations and fails, thinking that people want that perfect person to look up to and follow and be that role model, and that what I have to give isn't good enough. So just trying to overcome that, which is also kind of goes along the lines with the depression and the anxiety and the mental illness and all that kind of stuff, right? And that's, you know, your own stuff in your own head that you have to get over. So those are some of mine.
Okay. Yeah, very good. And like you said, you felt like a lot of those were excuses, but I think you need to give yourself that permission to realize that it actually is that resistance that's standing in front of you. So you can say, oh, it's, that's just an excuse. That's just an excuse. But really, it does have that power, and it's holding you back. So even though that might just be like a response of, oh, it's just an excuse, but it really is something that's holding you back. And the more that you're, kind of confronted and come right on with it, the less power it's going to have. So it's good.
Yeah, fear is an excuse too. I mean, let's be honest. That's an excuse too.
Okay. Anybody else want to share?
Okay. Excuse me. One of the big ones for me is time, because there's not enough time in the world to do everything I want to do. Fear of failure, fear of embarrassment for putting myself out there. Student loans get in the way of my life. Mistrust of others, being concerned with others' opinions and feelings more than my own. Not wanting to hurt others, settling for mediocrity and comfort. And I think everything that Tyler said, because I think we're like mental twins. Everything that he said, I went back and wrote down.
Yeah, good. Okay, Tricia.
I found the unmute. I think my main thing, everything around it, is a lack of confidence. I'm not a planner. I don't feel like I don't know, Summer Tucker talks about knowing where the train is going. And I feel like I don't know where the train is going. I don't have that clear vision. And so who's going to follow that? You know what I mean? It's kind of like everything around that. I don't plan well. I don't have kind of I feel rudderless. Is that a good word?
What does that even mean?
Rudder is like
I'm like a boat without a rudder. I don't know where I'm going, and I feel like I make a good foot soldier, but not a general. Do you know? Like I'll follow wherever, but this is where I want to turn this around to where I want to lead people, because I'm passionate about people doing something for their health, for their life, for their families, so I kind of have to just focus on that, but that it all leads to that. It's that confidence to know that I can lead people. I don't feel like I have that yet. So
yeah,
they all lead around. So
right, exactly. And leadership is hard, right? It's not convenient. It's not something that's just placed upon you.
mm-hmm.
It's very often awkward and hard, and it's a struggle, and so yeah. Okay, Tiffany.
Nerves of failing, distractions, and time management. Money, getting my business out there more one day if I need that. And telling someone the wrong advice, whether it's health and fitness or their spiritual life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Very good. Yeah.
Well, mine actually went along the lines with Carla, because at the bottom of my page, I said excuses. And then it took a little bit of time. I agree with everything that Tyler said about comfort and distractions. I mean, we have a pretty good life, so why change it? I mean, just accept what's there. But I think the vision is, and my true north is to have so much more for my family. The discipline I find is sometimes I feel like I am I'm scattered and I can't focus on one thing to be able to get it done. And I've got too many different things or too many tracks that I'm trying to leave, but I'm unsure on how to make, a footprint in all of them. And then there's fear. I mean, I agreed with everything that Tiffany said on all of those fears, because there's a fear of everything, really.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Isn't it crazy that all these little things, as you go down and make lists, I mean, that list could just keep going and going, right? There's so many things that are trying to hold you back, but the more that you can write them down, to understand them, to know them as they appear in your life, then you can pinpoint that out and say, no, that's just that resistance trying to stand in my way. And it will give you that courage to step over that and to keep going on that direction rather than allowing it to take that control over you.
Well, I think it goes along really well with, a lot of you guys know that Avery, who's in here, was abused, sexually abused a year ago. And one of the things we've really worked with her about is talking about it, because we learned in her therapy that as you talk about it, it does have less power over you. So when I wrote down all those things I'm afraid of, I'm like, that is so stupid. That I have all that, I'm letting fear rule where I go in my destiny because I'm choosing to let it. But I think writing it down helped, because I was like, that's dumb. That is dumb that I am afraid of failing, because I'm literally holding myself back because I'm afraid of looking dumb. Who cares? Who cares? But I just wanted to say that speaking it, just like you said, allows it to have less power over you. Just like Avery, she'll tell the grocery store clerk that the neighbor touched her private parts all the time, because for her, there's no shame in it. It doesn't have power over her because she's spoken it so many times that she has no shame with it. It doesn't have any power over her.
Yeah.
So I agree. Talking about it, saying it out loud makes a difference.
Yeah. Yeah. And one of the things that was on my list, distractions, and it's something our whole society is so distracted. You walk down the street and how many people are staring at their phones? They're not they'll be sitting, at a table and, people are on their phones. They're not paying attention to what's going on around them. It's so prevalent in our society. And what happens is when people are so distracted, yet as humans, our innate drive inside of us, like we talked about at the beginning of this call, is to find meaning, right? We want to have a meaning and a purpose, yet we're so distracted. So as you, Tricia, you said you want to be a leader, the more tied into your nature and the more clear you are with your tracks and you understand that and are clear with the direction that you're heading, the more people are going to jump on board with that, because they want that meaning, they want that purpose, but they're so distracted. So if you can provide that direction and be clear with, hey, this is what I believe in, this is the direction that I'm heading, the more people you're going to have that follow you. Okay, so the last point that I wanted to make, and we'll finish this up, but when, as our human nature, when we walk into a room, we'll take a look around us usually, and kind of subconsciously we're posturing ourselves with other people. So we kind of walk into a room and we kind of take a survey of, who's the dominant personality in the room, who's the more shy people, who's here, who's there, and we kind of posture ourselves and where exactly do we fit in this room full of people, right? Does that not happen for people? I know it does for me. But what happens when you are clear with the tracks that you want to leave, when you encounter something, the dominant person in the room that normally you would have shied away from or kind of been more deferential to them, when you are clear on the tracks that you want to leave, when you encounter something that's bigger than you, that clarity will give you the courage to take on the thing that's bigger than you are. And the more courage that you have, the stronger that you're going to be, and the less power that those demons, that resistance, is going to have over you. Okay? So be clear on what those tracks are. Keep those in your mind about where you're heading and what you want to be. And that's going to give you that courage, and it's going to fill you up full of that courage. It's going to allow you to take on those things that are scary, the things that normally you would have been afraid of, but now you're going to be able to take it on when you have that clarity. Okay?
You have a question to answer in the chat.
Thought you were going to give up your TV subscription. That is one of my big distractions, is TV. And I did get rid of our satellite package, so we have the very
He
basic.
downgraded.
That's a start.
So
Nice
I don't
job.
have probably half the TV that I used to watch.
Well,
so
we probably have like a quarter of it, but
yeah,
he
so I
still
missed that.
can't cancel it. I left it up to him. That's like his demon. So I was like, it's up to you. And Christy just messaged saying, I thought you guys were going to cancel your TV, because Christy knew we had talked about it. And I was like, that's his question to answer, not mine, because I would have canceled it when we first got it.
I'm working.
I don't watch TV, except Survivor.
That's right, Survivor.
An Amazing Race, if that ever comes back on.
No, I always fall asleep during that. Survivor.
Yeah.
That's the only one I love.
All right. If anybody has any questions, comments, anything like that, feel free to ask now, or post in the group. So this will be the last call and stuff that we have for the week, and then we'll start up again. I'll be posting stuff probably throughout the week, but Monday have more stuff. Our calls for the next 4 weeks are going to be on Mondays, same time. Wednesdays.
I was like, we're going to be gone Monday.
So same time as tonight, right? Every Wednesday for the next 4 weeks. And then I'll post a recording, so if you ever want to go back, or for all those people that missed it. Okay?
Cool.
All right.
Thanks for coming on, guys.
Yeah, thanks for everybody for joining us.
See you on Friday.
Yeah.
Okay, bye.